Got another Georgetown in here. Oh, man. All right. Dashboard a mess. It's all rotting out. And check out that ceiling coming down. That is a hot mess right there. So it's coming down even further. So it's got to come out more over there. Let me go show you the roof. We don't want you on the video. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody cares. All right, so this is your typical RV roof. Put more on, moron. See, they got this self-leveling crap in here. I don't like this stuff. A lot of times I can peel this up, just get my fingers up underneath it, and it's just all loose. Like, so this is kind of stuck here, but it's not really stuck there. Looks like it is, but you can see if it was. See how there's no residue on the product? It means it didn't stick. I should be having to scrape it all off. So they just wadded it all up. So the problem with these coats is this is an acrylic type of material. They put these on pop-up campers, it's the same stuff. So what generally happens is because they have this strip here, water's got to build up, whatever, 5/8 or so of an inch thick, deep, whatever, before it rolls off. So we're going to eliminate all this. I'm going to just bring the roofing over. That's what we're going to do on here. But, you know, that's just the way they do these things. The RV industry just exploits people's ignorance to roof systems. This is not the way you do a roof. So, I know I've said it in other videos, but I'm actually a general contractor by trade. I was a licensed general contractor in 3 different states. Did a lot of restaurant work. We maintain like 600 restaurants, fast food restaurants, east of the Mississippi, from like Pizza Hut, Long John Silver's, A&W Root Beer, and all that stuff. Sold that company years ago. I just kind of landed into these things. When I sold it, I was really actually hoping to retire. So, but that being said, I've put down a many roofs, and this is not a roof. This is just a slap together, get it out, you know, get it built, get it out, get it sold. That's their mentality. Let the customer deal with all the other hassles. Let's give them a 365-day warranty, contingent upon you putting more of this crap on all the time. So this is their cash cow. This product doesn't last. It's their cash cow. That's why if you look when you buy a coach, if you're thinking of buying a new coach, which I would highly discourage you from doing, if you do, you'll see they'll give you a matrix and they'll tell you when you're supposed to apply some more product, every 3 to 4 months. So why is a product failing in 3 to 4 months? A good product shouldn't be failing. A good product designed to be outside should not be failing in 3 to 4 months. You know, it's kind of like going and buying new tires. You go to whatever, Goodyear, Firestone, whoever you buy your tires from, and then the salesman shakes your hand and says, hey, thank you for the business, we appreciate you. Hey, by the way, you need to fill those tires up every 3 to 4 months because they're going to go dead flat on you. You'd be like, whoa, what are you talking about? Hey, I don't think I want those tires. Same thing, right? So they put this on here. They don't want to reformulate it so it will be able to withstand the UV light and all the elements. They don't want to do that. They just want to say, hey, you know what we should do is just tell these people, yeah, that's what you got to do with an RV roof is you have to get up there. Yeah, that's it. It's a marketing genius for sure. You know, whoever thought of that, it's kind of like shampoo. You read the back of shampoo, and it gives you the instructions, and what does it say at the end? Repeat. That one word, so everybody's washing their hair 2 or 3 times. You really need to? I don't know. But anyhow, they're exploiting people's ignorance to roof systems. So to prove my point, if you're going, well, no, there's the way they're supposed to be, so on and so forth, you go on to online and search commercial roof images. Just go on there. Commercial roof images. You're going to see the vents, you're going to see the skylights, you're going to see the air conditioners, you're going to see them all elevated up off the roof line on a box. They call those box curbs. That's how a flat roof, low slope roof functions. You do not simply just cut a square hole like this, cut a square hole for your vent, put butyl up underneath on the vent, squash it down, run 28 screws around it, and slather it self-leveling and call it cool. If that was the case, these companies that have acres of roofs, do you know how much money they would save from just having to do that and not doing all the detail of the curves? That accounts for probably I don't know, maybe 65%, you know, plus or minus in that area. It's more than 50% of the roof cost is in the detail. So also think of this. Do you think one of these big companies, I don't know, Hershey or Coca-Cola, these big, huge plants, right? Do you think they're going to send somebody up there and by the time you finish caulking and sealing, do you think by the time you do that, you'd have to start all over again? You know, they've got a lot of stuff coming through the roof. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, you know, we're going to do this the right way. We're going to make this going to be literally a commercial roof. It's going to be a commercial roof. So you can see, I don't know if you can see, but I'm hoping you can see, but over here, this air conditioner right there in that corner, which is where I showed you where the damage is in the ceiling, you can see it kind of does one of these deals. It's coming down like this. So that's a big concern. All that is all ruined, is probably just saturated with water. I can see a bubble right here, which means this is all delaminated back this way. So obviously roof coming up. I've already done several of these Georgetowns, and they always turn out typically where you have to do a ceiling and a roof and a dashboard as a rule. So we already got the awnings off because we got to start stripping this thing. But you can see how this is puffy. It's real puffy. All this water is soaked in here, and that's just ramping right down over there. So we'll get all these components off, and we're going to obviously strip it apart. Probably end up taking this whole entire roof and ceiling out. From what I understand, the customer is going to have the whole interior redone from another company, and they're going to go in and actually, I guess, redo the cabinet faces or whatever. But he's putting a different ceiling on there. He's not going to be putting a regular fabric ceiling like the one I showed you that's in there. He's going with a different one. I guess they're going to put some bead board or something to jazz it up, I guess. So, I mean, that's cool if he likes it. But all that said, we just got to figure a way for them to tack up that bead board so this way it doesn't fall down until the glue cures, right? So that's what we're doing. But anyhow, that's where we're at right now. But this is all, like I said, this is all wrong. So let's get to work, strip this off. We'll show you what's going on. I already showed you the caulking here, so this was one of my examples. Look at there. I hadn't done anything with this yet. It just popped right up. Hey, tell me that doesn't leak. I would strongly suggest nobody ever buy an RV for at least a month. Everybody, boycott it. Don't buy one for a month, 2 months, something like that. Somebody needs to set that up because they'll get the message. It's all cracked. But this is just gonna peel right up. Hey, you think that's sealed? No. It's nice and shiny and slick. Nice and shiny and slick with the silicone. Silicone doesn't stick to plastic. Let you know that, Forest River. Look at that, all cracked. So somebody's already tried to prevent this by slopping more of this on. You see the gloss and the sheen on there? Yeah, that's not good. That's not a good adherence. Okay, so anyhow, that's how easy it comes up. I didn't know it was really going to come up that easy. I was showing you down there, but especially on this plastic. See, look at there. It's all clean. See how clean it is? If this was sticking to it, that you'd have some residue on there. You know, I'll bet all those screws are rusty. You know, that's a shame. That really is. And you know, people don't know any better. You can understand that. They're not RV people. They're not roof people. They expect the manufacturer to do them right, and that's where they went wrong. Manufacturers are only going to do what they want to do for themselves. They don't care about you. They do not care about you. Whatever's easier for them. So they say, hey, we got this new stuff out. Oh yeah, we were listening to our customers complain about this, that, the other thing. No, you probably got more than enough lawsuits that probably caused you to change something, but it wasn't because you had to do it and you want to do it right. There's not one coach out here that I've seen that's still in business anyways. A couple of them that I've seen is years ago, I think it is on the channel. It's a Holiday Rambler, and that was a fifth wheel we did, and there was another Holiday Rambler. The construction on those were pretty good. Roof systems, not so much, but at least the frame and everything else wasn't bad. So, but otherwise, they're all the same, every one of them. And but anyhow, we're gonna get this all stripped off. I just want to show you that. Right as I put the camera down, I noticed it, and I was like, you know, I got to put that on and show them on there. So let me get this all squared away. We're still trying to set up. We're putting all the scaffold around. We got a railing that we're putting on the front. We do all this stuff. You're gonna hear some tools in the back trying to strip this apart. So all right, let us get to work. All right, Georgie boy, all rotted and delammed, still wet. You see how dark that is? That is wet. Typical George. So that's what D-lam is. If this is the first video you're watching, I'll take you to school. So this is plywood. Plywood is made up of plies. This is one ply. There's another ply. If you look at the grain going this way, the one underneath it is going the other way. This one is a 3 ply. You make 4 ply, 5 ply, depends on what you're using the plywood for. So it's all D-lammed, meaning laminated, glued together. It has come unglued. So that's the term, delaminated. So we're going to rip this thing out because the ceiling's bad anyways, and see what we can do with it. That's about all we can do. We can take shoulders off. Let's see if we pull this out. All right, let us show you what we got done on this big old Georgetown. So originally we were going to pull all the panels out. Really looking at that. When we got in it, we found out that the fabric in itself was kind of wet, and that's what was dropping down more so than the actual ceiling panel. And the panels were not delaminated, they were just kind of wet. So we dried it out for a week, like literally, we dried it out. We get in there with a moisture meter to see if it was still wet, right? Just kept checking it, and it got better, and it dried right out. So that's awesome. We sprayed it with mold kill and all that stuff. Saved everybody a lot of aggravation, although we don't mind doing them if we really have to. As you've seen on other videos, probably I've done them, but I try not to poke at somebody's wallet if I don't have to. So what I did is had all the fans going in this thing. We lifted up the whole ceiling and everything, had air circulating everywhere, and got it dried out while we were working on something else. So it was kind of worth the save, in my opinion, because it would be a tremendous amount of work to redo all that. So all that said, I still didn't like the way the foam was doing. It was kind of funky and the whole thing. I didn't want it to collapse, and he's also putting another ceiling in there, so I want to make sure it had some strength. So all they had on here, there's just aluminum. There's an aluminum frame like this that runs down beside the air conditioners, but they're way down there. They're only 1 inch this way, and then they're 1.5 that way that run. It's just like it looks like an H, I guess, or a square, just like what we got framed out. But I made all new trusses for everything, put them 2 foot on center. And then all of these are all rotted. They're all gone anyways, so we redid all of the boxes and got all this right. I'm about to make new shoulders to go on here, but everything is back to where it needs to be. As you can see, we re-adhered everything back to the original foam. Super important to do all that. And then now what we're doing is just double check and make sure we got everything right, wires where they need to go. And that also, doing it this way prevented us from having to pull everything out, getting all the wires and relabeling them and so on and so forth. So we're ready to go here in a minute. We're just putting some plates, putting some of these protective plates on there. I got one right here to do, so we'll get that. And then you can see when we go over there, so we got to still get them on there. And now we're pinching this back up to where it's supposed to be, these wires. So we're getting everything all set to be able to get the decking down. We also slid a piece of steel up underneath here, and because there was nothing there. I'm going to put 1/2 inch decking on this thing. So I want to make sure I have something to screw to, and also that I have something to screw the termination bar to when the roof ends. So we'll have the plywood come up, the roofing go on, but you need something there. So digging this out to try to get a truss in there was just really not necessary. So this is all glued in. We glued in a piece of 16 gauge here. We did the same thing up front and got that. And then that's about where we're at so far to getting everything all squared away. So, then the same thing over here. Like I said, we redid the refrigerator. All of it's been redone. This is some solar. We wanted to try to drop it down here by the refrigerator, but that is real tight. Everywhere is real tight. I can't get in there. There's a cabinet right below here, so we're going to put it down in that cabinet. And then he's going to have to get somebody to put the solar together, meaning like wire it up. We don't do any of that. I'll prep it, and I'll get the panels on here. We'll get it up on the frame and so forth. We can do that. But in regards to actually wiring it, we don't get into any of that. We only wire up what we take apart. So, right there, if that was a power fan, which I'm guessing, then we were, unwire, we can rewire that back. But I don't just willy-nilly start pulling wires all around and adding them to the circuit. These RVs are kind of fickle, and I don't like to do that. So, otherwise, that's about all we got right now, and we're about ready to get this all redecked here in a few minutes, and then hopefully we get a roof on today. That would be great, but we got to make sure when we bond it, we're obviously going to staple here, but we got to glue all this back to the sheathing. We've got it all braced up. Everything is nice and smooth, looks pretty well. So we're ready to get it going. So we're just using that as a straight edge. We're not using it for level. Someone may be looking at it going, you don't know what the coach is doing, how the suspension is. That's just to make sure our trusses are lining up. That's all we did. So when they look real reasonable. So we're going to go with that. All right, so let us get to work and we'll show you more here in a little bit. All right, so we have got everything all decked over and we glued it down with a foam adhesive. Actually, you can see all the foam. So we foamed the heck out of it and we were going pretty good, and I forgot to do a video showing it, but we just went crazy with it. So what you want to do is bond the decking to the original foam. So that's what we did. So we got all that, and you can see that I also made up some new shoulders. Made all these up, so we're getting these on. That's what we're doing now. So as we're getting these shoulders down, we got all this glue. We're gluing it down. Everything's getting glued down. Everything gets glued. That's what we do. And then this way we know it's staying tight. Sometimes you'll see on, and you may have a fifth wheel or even a Class A or whatever, and you'll see it start lifting up because they just throw a couple staples down. They never glue anything down. They just throw, and they sporadically throw staples down. And then you can actually rub your hand over the membrane and you'll feel the staple coming through the shoulder. So I want them all glued down. This way I know they stay tight. So then we make sure all the radiuses are nice when we put them on. Alrighty. So passenger side's already been glued down. You can see that sheen. We're ready to roll this one. So contact cement, that's what this is. You have to do both sides. So at the factory they don't. They only do one side and they flip that over. It doesn't work very well. That's why you see a lot of these coaches, as you go down the road, you'll see the roof popping up and puffing up. And by the way, that is not covered under your warranty. So you go and buy a new coach and it makes it a year and then it starts loosening up, which it will. Then you're going to have to put a roof on it. Insurance won't cover it. That's considered a manufacturer's defect. They don't cover manufacturer's defect. Just keep that in mind. So and also the other thing that instigates it to break loose is when they do the OSB. That's why I don't use OSB, as you can see. But OSB has a smooth side and it has a rough side. They put the smooth side up because it looks better when you're looking at the roof. It looks nice and smooth. If you put the rough side up, you can see all the little chippings up underneath there. So it's not smooth by design. It's a smooth by default. When they go to press it and they have this massive press, it's huge. This massive press, that press is like 15,000 PSI or something, but when the press comes up and squashes it, right, to make the thickness, to make sure that the resins that they use in the OSB, to make sure they don't stick to the plate, they coat that plate with wax. So now basically they're pressing all that wax into the sheathing, and nothing's going to stick to wax. So that's why it comes up. So I know Grand Design has done that numerous times. Well, almost everybody does, because it looks better. But you got wax on there. It doesn't make sense. But anyhow, that's why we do them the way we do. You can see we got the strips on here. Got these shoulders on. Had to fabricate all the new shoulders. I think I already said that yesterday or so. Anyhow, everything's ready to go. We're gonna roll it over, and then we're gonna start assembling the roof and get it together, and it should be ready to go. I know we're putting solar on here as well, so we'll get all that together, and then I think we got a dashboard to do on a Georgetown. All right, so now what we're doing is you got this heavy roller. We want to make sure this thing stays down good, get good contact. So we're going to go over that nice and slow, and over the whole entire roof, make sure it is down, and then after that we start cutting out our holes for our vents and skylights and whatever else, and then get everything up here welded, put her back together. There is a lot of rot on this dashboard, this old George. Trying to get through the window there so you can see. See all that there. Alright, so you'll be able to see some from underneath here. So obviously there's the front of the coach, and there you go. You can see all that damage. Obviously we gotta replace that. It's all rotted over in that corner. So that's what that piece looks like. And this is the piece we pulled out right here. so we're going to put some plywood in it, and then we'll get it all wrapped up. So they didn't even, this is the dash side. All I did was put this cheap flimsy foam on here, which is still wet. It's just, see how it clumps up like that? There's just moisture in it. But anyhow, that's all they had on there. That's not going to protect anything. That's why this stuff rots out. I don't understand. You know, that's just, you just look at it and tell it's going to fail. So it's basically like who gives a crap? Who gives a shit? Just throw it together, let the customer deal with it. You know, that's a shame. So anyhow, now the customer's got to deal with it. Okay, so we've got the new dashboard in. Maybe I'll go inside and show you that. There it is. So we got to get the fabric back rolled over. We get all that new wood in there. And then up underneath here, we got a piece up there, and you can see we put, that's a piece of aluminum that we put up underneath there to protect it. We're going to go around and seal the perimeter. Alright, well, we moved the Georgetown, and this is my inspection bay. So I'm going to show you what we did on the inside. Obviously we rebuilt the dash, we showed you that, but then we put a gutter on there. I don't know why these Georgetowns always do that. This isn't the first one that's like that. I don't know if it just needs to be adjusted there, but it looks like it's actually crooked, this wiper, compared to that other one, right? And they're on the same, this is the same on both of those, but this wiper seems to want to nosedive. Anyhow, so once we got the dashboard all back together, I like to try to eliminate problems. I don't want problems to keep rising their ugly head, right? That's the whole reason why folks come here. So you have a lot of condensation that gets on these windows. You can actually probably see some of that streaking, right? So it'll come on down, and then when it hits here, it rolls over, and then it gets right into the fabric, like underneath here, and then the actual substrate wicks up all the moisture. And this is a chronic problem. This isn't something that's going to be like, you know, happen 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 times. This is chronic. So what I did was, you can barely see it, but that's a gutter. So that gutter runs all the way around, and there's a hole right here. So now when the water comes down and trickles into it, it'll wick out. It goes down through the grill. So it's now that's stopped. We've stopped that problem. I don't know why they don't do it at the factory, but I mean, that's something they need to consider. A lot of the issues that we have, not only just like, for instance, that's a condensation issue. The same with the skylights on the bathroom. So you can, we got the ceiling all, I mean, this is all nice and tight and straight, and he was supposed to, yeah, I guess he's going to bring it somewhere else and have a fancy ceiling put in or something like that. He had already booked all that prior to us. But even in the bathroom, which is right there, on the skylight, you have the same issue where, well, I guess I'll show you when I get up there. It'll probably be easier because it's too dark in here anyways. So anyhow, there's your fix for the windshield. All right, let's go up and take a look at our roof. I want to thank the customer for bringing this in to us. We appreciate the work. That's why we take our time to do it right. People come a long ways to have us do the work, and I don't want to, we don't slap it together and send them on their way and then they have problems with it because it wasn't done right. That's not smart. That's not ethical. You know, we just don't roll that way. So the roof system here, this is a TPO roof. Is a TPO stands for thermoplastic. So it all heat welds together. That's the whole purpose or the whole scope of the roof system. So if you get on, you know, get online, you can do a search for commercial roof images. And when you look at those images, you're going to see the skylights, you're going to see the air conditioners, you're going to see vents, you're going to see these things elevated up off the roof line like I've got them right here. So, you know, my background, I am a general contractor by trade for commercial properties, but, you know, building, roofing systems, structurality, and that said, I'm not really an RV guy. I just designed this roof system to form and function for it. So, all that said, I made all these curves. Every one of these I make, every single thing you see here, we make in-house here, right? I don't sell anything. So I've had some folks call me up and go, hey, can you sell me this, can you sell me that? We don't sell anything at all. We're just a service center. So, all that said, like I said, all these are all heat welded. So you have, like, this is a fan, I'll explain that in a minute, but this is your flashing down here, and this is counter flashing. This is the flashing that gets heat welded back in, this is counter flashing. So all that said, that's the purpose of the counter flash, is when you get, obviously at the front of the coach, but I don't know, it could be, rain could be coming from any direction, I guess. But as it's coming across and the water's rushing, you got a pretty good storm and it's rushing up, it's going to hit the counter flash up here and it's going to get diverted around. It's going to minimize what's called erosion effect. So as you can see on this skylight here, I mean, we got a nice bed of adhesive sealant. We glue these down. I don't use any screws. There's no screws in there. So I can't warranty these either because I didn't design them. And they're just the plastic, and then they, you know, blow them, I guess, so they can, you know, get the shape and everything. But I don't know if there's an air pocket in there or not. Over the years, I have tried to drill these out. These going back quite some years, that I've tried to drill them out, and I've tried to, you know, maybe get a self-centering bit and get them absolutely perfect so when they expand and contract that they wouldn't be pushing or pulling on the screws. So that said, it just never seemed to work. So we just glue them down now. It's cleaner. We don't have to deal with it. Less to worry about sealing, right? You don't have any screws that could possibly leak. But in the summertime, when this gets real hot, then you have a thunder shower which goes to cool it down. So now with the heat sitting on, it's going to expand. And then once the sun hits it, once the thunder showers hit it, it's going to want to contract. And it kind of does that shock thing. And that's what generally causes these things to kind of shift a little bit. And it's probably not anything you could see like it happening for sure, but it's enough to where it starts to fracture and leave these little fracture cracks through here. But that's why we don't, that's why we do not put screws in them. Then this is a fan, and inside here I have a trough up in here. There's a little piece of ductwork that goes to this fan, and then there's the intake right here. And again, there's ductwork that goes this way. So now I got an open air. So now the other problem you have, especially in the cooler seasons, like maybe in, you know, during the fall or maybe even in the springtime where it's cool in the morning, you get some frost still, and then the sun comes up, it's going to evaporate all of the, you know, moisture off here, all the dew. But when these get cold and you start getting that condensation issues on the inside, the actual underside of this lens will have the same amount of moisture. Well, now when the sun comes up, it's evaporating this outside surface, but the inside surface, now that it's getting warm, will start to condensate and start to drool down, much like what I was explaining on the windshield. So when that happens, then it starts to get wicked up by either the frame or, you know, your roof deck or so forth. And especially if you don't have a curb, it's just going to soak into the roof deck, and then it starts rotting. Now when it starts rotting, these screws will get loose because now there's no decking to hold the screws there. So people keep putting more and more of that die core on there, hoping that's going to solve the problem, when the problem is now has turned into a structural issue where the screws aren't bonding. So you get basically a dog chasing its tail. So they must know all this. I mean, if they're that smart to design a big RV, they should be smart enough to understand, you know, how the elements of chemistry should work, where they can fix these problems. But, you know, get them built, get them out, get them sold. So now that the sun comes up and evaporates this off, that fan will kick on. That's a solar fan. I specifically designed it with a solar fan because no one's going to come in here and flip a switch every day to make sure and run it for 15-20 minutes or whatever to make sure that, you know, it's clearing it out and getting all that moisture out of there. So let's just make a solar. So what happens is when the fan kicks on, it draws from here, it goes up. There's an inner lens. So you got the inner lens and you got this lens. It'll come up, go back down, and exhaust out. So, you know, we'll keep it dry. And it'll keep running, obviously, as long as the sun is up. So if this cap pops off, this is just got a ductwork there. So yes, it would leak. So you can steal the plumbing right here and put it on there. Or if you really have to, just plug it with something. It doesn't matter. Plug it, tape it, whatever. Get it, make sure there's no water going in there. But like I said, all of this is all heat welded. It's all heat welded in there. So on the air conditioners, there is a foam gasket. You can probably see that up underneath there. See that black? That's the foam gasket. So now you get the rain coming down, and the rain will come down through here, and I don't want the wind to blow it back into that gasket. I'm really trying to protect it as much as I can away from that gasket. So that being said, this other piece right here, that's another piece of counter flash. That counter flash goes below this, so it's sitting lower. So then when the water comes down from there, it'll drool down, it'll hit the actual roof membrane, and then it'll get shot out that way instead of trying to get up onto that gasket. So we've got a couple of stands in the back to give it some balance. We got our tag on here. See if I can roll that the right way. Hopefully it'll come out. That's March of 24. So we're a little late with this video, but the even the same thing with the ladder. A lot of times that ladder, you'll get rot and everything around there because they just, again, put all that booger on there, and then it breaks free, starts, to fail. And those things move a lot when you start getting on there. I mean, if you own an RV, you know those things move a lot. So the product that we use inside there, that's a flexible sealer. It'll never loosen up. It's like an eraser in a sense. It's real soft. So we did the same thing for the solar. So we just mounted the solar, as you can see. I don't know if you can see under there. We do not wire anything. I don't wire anything up. The wires do go over here. We make all the mounts, and we'll pull everything together, and we'll bolt it all down for you. But we don't do any wiring at all. If we take something apart, like the fan, I'll rewire it back. But if somebody wants something else and there isn't any power there, I will drop a wire, and then you can have a tech wire it up. We just kind of steer clear of that. Some of these electrical systems in these coaches can get a little persnickety, and I would hate to lose or get a bad review on a roof system on, a wire or something that was wired up, and maybe that failed and it really wasn't us, but then the customer thinks, well, the manufacturer says you wired it wrong or whatever. So I just don't want to get in the middle of it. Anytime we have any, air conditioners, if any of those don't work, then, which we check them when they come in, everything gets checked. We have a checklist actually that we use. But if they don't work, then we just get a tech down here. That's it. We don't mess with them. So, and we just get the customer in contact with the tech. So we don't even get in the middle of that either. So just FYI on that. So again, air conditioner with the stands in the back to give it some balance. That's not one of them gestures. That's just, I'm pointing to there, but I did it with 2 fingers. The same thing with the counter flash there. Then we do the same thing with there's an antenna. I like these antennas. There's a power antenna. I like the way we can just bolt them and then you can get them all balanced out and everything. And then there's obviously the coax. What's good about it is that, like, unlike other antennas, or even actually this one here, the way they designed this is there was a couple other feet around here that came out, and you're supposed to screw it to the roof and slobber it with self-leveling. Well, I don't do that, obviously, as you can see. I get it up off the roof line, water can get up underneath it, and you don't have any of those issues, and also you don't have anything penetrating the roof. So if this thing were to fail, then all you have to do is just take a 9/16 wrench, and you can just undo the nut there. There's one there, and there's one on the other side. Undo that coax right there. Once you get all that, it'll pop off, and you can go back in. There's also a set nut there. Just don't mess with that set nut on the bottom. There's a set nut right there on the bottom. You don't have to mess with that. And then once you get the new one, plop it back on there, and then you may have to drill those out a little bit, but you just drop it back on there and put the nuts back on. You're done, and put your coax. So you don't have to breach the roof. You don't have to breach caulking. So we did the same for the awning. We raised that up. I don't like the way they do the awnings over there, and you can see now the way they did have it. There was a rail that went down. I'll come back this way. There was a rail that came down on this edge right here. It was a piece of flat stock, which prevents the water from flowing off. So I elevate it so you can get water and everything, get it off the roof. I don't want it sitting there. And then obviously the awning is mounted to that rail. That's how we did all that. Same boot style, same sealer that we used on the ladder that we used over here. So it's all done. The warranty on this roof, this is a 20-year roof membrane. That's what it is. The manufacturer says the roof membrane, this right here, is good for 20 years. You'll get 20 years out of this. So manufacturers do not extend a labor warranty on a roof system. I have never seen it, especially on a commercial. It's different. On an RV, I have not. If somebody has one, hey, email it to me. I'd like to read it because I have never seen it. But they do warranty the membrane, and they'll say the membrane will not fail for a period of 20 years. And that means, and if you ever took the time to really read it, it says unusual oxidation, unusual fading, that type thing, meaning unusual. It's going to degrade over the years, but it's not unusual for that to happen. You say, but if it were to do it within 2 years drastically, then you go, hey, there's a problem with the material. Then they go, okay, here you go. Here's some more material. Whatever this is, 38 feet. Here you go. Here's some more material. But they don't pay for the labor to have it all put back on. So all that said, we want folks to come back within, we like to see it come back within 60 days. And I like to see it because this way it's moving, it's racking, it's twisting, it's flexing. All right, it's new. I want to make sure everything is okay. You put a few miles on it. Let me double check it. And then come back once a year. And every year you come back, we renew it for 1 year. You come back the following year, we renew it for yet that other year, right? So you always have 1 year. Basically, it's 1 year warranty for a period. You'll come back 20 years, it's fine with me. So if you go to sell it, then we'll transfer the warranty to whoever buys it. And they have to do the same thing. They have to come back and do their inspections. And those inspections are important. We do an awesome job here, but I didn't make the roofing. I didn't make the caulking. I didn't make certain things, and it would be foolish to try to assume that, hey, once it's done, you never have to do anything. So once in a while, folks come back, you know, like 4, 5, 6 years, and they go, hey, I got a problem with, well, I don't know, maybe it's around the skylight, right? And now it's all de-lammed or rotted. You know, and I have to go back and fix it. I'm going to have to charge you, and I don't want to, but I would have to charge you to do that repair because it probably was something we could have fixed had we seen it, right? So things like that are how the warranty works. And again, if we do a transfer of the warranty, they call us, and then they'll come in for an inspection, and we have to set them all up with that. So it's really simple, but no other company is going to offer you free inspections, you know, pretty much. And there's a 20-year roof system, so free inspections for 20 years. You know, they're not going to do it, or transferable. I don't know anybody who does it. Not on a quality roof like that. I think some of those spray places, they say they do it, but I don't know. You saw all the work we did on this. You don't want to be spraying a roof. That's for sure. If it worked that well, I'd buy the machine. I've done spray machines before. I've had them when I did commercial work to spray like big buildings like I'm in now with the metal roof systems, flat roof systems. You know, they're basically called a recovery system. But if you read all that information, that is not a membrane. It is a coating. If you read it, it's just very thick coating. And again, it doesn't still solve your problem of having curbs. You want to have curbs up underneath all of your, like your air conditioner vents and skylights and things. You need to have that elevated. It's that important. That's how flat or low slope roofs function. So here's the material. Obviously, here's our information. So you can go there, obviously our phone number, and then we offer the tan, obviously the white as you see on here, and then the gray. Those are standard colors. You can get a couple other different colors, but they're going to have a premium price to them, and those seem to be fluctuating. So I guess if you were that interested in it, I put on some dark browns on some big countries before. Looks really good. But anyhow, it just letting you know these are the 3 standard colors. So the thickness of this right here is 60 mil. On a commercial level, when an entry level commercial membrane starts off at 45. What's currently on these RVs for a membrane is like 25. Okay, 25, maybe 28. And then there is also a percentage tolerance for it. So not only did I upgrade from an RV roof to a commercial roof. Commercial starts off at 45 mil. This is 60. So I even went up 1 level on that. So this is a really strong membrane. Also, you can see on the back here, you see those little squares. And what those little squares are, there's a mesh that's built into the membrane. So that helps protect against hail, tree branches, things like that. It makes it really strong. You'd have to have a super, super sharp knife to just willy-nilly cut through it. I mean, it takes a couple of strikes to get through this. It's not that easy to get through. So around the coach in itself, along the edges, we've got 2 strikes of caulking. In fact, we actually went over this whole entire coach, and we sealed every single daggum screw everywhere. Scraped out all that old crap and redid all that. That's why you see that tag on there, because we finished March. This was at the latter end of March. And then that's what kind of ran us into April with to finish up all the other stuff. But on the the caulking, we use 2 strikes around the perimeter of the roof. So this gutter is sealed on with an adhesive sealant, and then every screw behind here is all sealed as well. And we want to make sure everything is sealed. See if I pop that out. See how the screws are all sealed? So that's what you want. You want everything sealed up. So now when we push that on there, get it screwed on, it's going to burp up. We strike it down. When it cures, then we come back and we put 1 strike. When that cures, we go back and put yet another strike. And the reason I do that is because if you put an air pocket, I'll leave that open for a second. When you caulk around and you may hear a crackle or a pop coming from the tube, you just injected an air bubble. So you get down the road, you may not see it, but it's there. So now you get down the road, it's rack and twist and flexing, and now that breaches. Now you have a leak, and or potentially have a leak. So my thought is, what are the chances of having 1 air bubble land on top of another? That's why I do the 2 strikes on there. So this is a different insert trim that we use, and this has a little groove in it. You can see it right here. See that little groove? Alright, so that little groove goes, there's a little track right here. So that just snaps inside. Then it's under it and over it, right? It's in the back and in the front, and it locks out a lot of water. I also like this because it kind of bulbs a little bit better, and it'll force it down into the gutter. So I like that. Obviously, we put some new gutter spouts on. Probably could use a better washer. We had it outside. But I think that's about it. I think I went over everything so far. So these aren't DIY videos. We appreciate you watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I guess it does something with the algorithm. Skip all the commercials. We don't put these up for the commercials. That's something that YouTube does if they're still on there. So we don't necessarily monetize them, but YouTube will want to take advantage of it, and they say they reserve the rights to try to monetize our channel. But myself, I find them to be extremely annoying. We put these videos together so Mr. or Mrs. Customer can see all the work we did. That's the whole scope of it. And maybe even future customers can see the quality of the work that we do, the time we take to do it right, problems we find, how we address them, how we fix them, you know, that type thing. So it's really transparency. And also they can tell, like when we set out an invoice because we did this, that, the other thing, well, you can see we did that, the other thing. It's on there. It's on the video, you know. So, because a lot of times you button stuff up, you don't know what's underneath it. But, so, again, this isn't necessarily a DIY channel at all. Sometimes they give you some tips. But, and again, we don't sell a thing here. So, we also don't quote on social media. So, if you have any questions in regards to pricing and so forth, give us a call. You can go to our website. You can fill out a request form. And you can do that. Or you can just, again, send us an email. Whichever you like. And then we can kind of help you with your project if you're interested. We appreciate y'all watching. And we'll see you on the next one. Right. So in our care package we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, and we'll simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof. It's leaking. So what you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you're trying to do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. You just squeeze, squeeze. You want to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, you're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that up because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. There it is. Now you got the film. We'll take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we got that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.